क्या आपको स्ट्रेस होता है?
क्या आप हमेशा स्ट्रेस रहते हैं?
Well, that's what we discuss in today's podcast. So how to deal with stress? Who is the most stressful, and how you can be stress free? So let's just
Get into the
it.
podcast.
So I was thinking today is basically we're gonna spin the wheel on what the topic is, and it just occurred to me, what we should talk about?
What?
Stress. Because I'm so stressed right now in life. I thought,
no.
So we should do a conversation about stress. Because I was just thinking, so I don't know, so we work in production, we do animation, we direct films, all that of jazz. And when you're making something, there's always a certain amount of stress. You're making something, will it work out? Because sort of uncertainty. But then you think about it, there's so many other jobs that inherently have like more stress, I think.
Like more things depend on it immediately, I guess.
Correct. Like doctor.
Yeah, true.
Like for example, if you're a surgeon and stuff, I feel, of course, they say that you shouldn't be connected with the person, it's just a job, but how much of it can you actually put aside in your head, like when you're working with real human beings?
That would be very difficult. I don't know how to deal with this, honestly.
Correct.
Honestly, doctor is one of the things that you take for granted also.
Correct.
Because you don't think about it twice.
Yeah, I want, right now in the situation we are in. So
depends on when you're watching this.
Correct. There was a very bad situation, 2020.
Back in 2020.
So I was saying, life, whether you're working in the ICU ward and where you're like, people are coming in, they're messed up and fucked up, or whether you're like the first response team that has to sue people up.
Yeah, I'm just surprised that the first response team is not constantly dealing with, I don't want to deal with that.
Correct. So there's a friend of mine, and he's trying to become a doctor. And one of the part of the things is you have to be at that emergency thing, right?
Correct.
And he said that initially he was there and he's wondering what he'll do. And generally very minor things come. And then there was this case of someone who had got severely poisoned, right? And that person came and he said he looked at that person and he blanked out. And he's like, what am I supposed to do again? He completely blanked out.
I can imagine.
And then he said, then he had to just take a deep breath and everything came back and he administered all that stuff. And then the guy's life was saved and he was like, whew, I did that. I saved this person's life, and he felt very good. And he said, you know what, I get it, why this profession is awesome. And I heard that story and went like, but what if you had only stayed blanked out?
Exactly what I was thinking in this very moment. Like, theek hai yaar, wo
अच्छा हुआ तेरा वापस आया. Because how do you deal? Because I think in today's day and age, how do you deal with work-related stress, any kind of stress?
Can you imagine though if we have that little lapse in judgment when it comes to production? At max, what's going to get wasted is money.
Correct.
And money is it's material.
Money. Correct. What's that risk? Oh, ये film उतना अच्छा नहीं बना, वो हो.
And production costs increase because time increase and you had to reshoot something or some shit like that.
Correct. Or at max the stakes are creative, and of course they're real stakes with life, but it's not serious stakes.
Yeah, and it's not like someone got poisoned and I couldn't save.
and imagine,
unless that happened on your set, which is just unfortunate, just plain unfortunate.
Wow, that's intense. Now I'm more stressed. So going on the same thing, right? Like when people come and sometimes you can do something in this case, and other cases you can't.
Yeah.
Right? You can't help someone, especially.
That must be really hard hitting. Actually, can't imagine. Even for people you don't know.
Unless you're a complete sociopath, it'll be really hard to function. And although they train doctors to be, as a human experience, I don't know how much you can pull yourself away from it.
Yeah. Also, I wonder how many doctors have become sociopaths because of this.
See, I feel you have to build some distance.
But
still, my point is, every time you start something and when you start focusing, there's still going to be a certain amount of stress, right? You're working on a real life thing. And I feel the same thing for vets as well.
Oh God, vets is even worse. The animal cannot tell you where it's hurting. There's a good chance कि brain में कुछ कर रहा है और बाकी जगह पे कुछ हो रहा है and you don't know, because the animal is not suddenly going to be like, oh, my knee hurts actually, not my brain.
Correct.
It's very stressful. Like listening to it is so stressful. Like
and we know some vets, man, and for them it's pretty hard.
It's another day in their life.
Correct.
And so one of my best friends is a vet, and she had called us to a national park in Nagpur to spend some time. Like she used to work there.
Correct.
And she was like, I just have to make a house call on the way, and then we will go to the place where we are staying overnight.
Correct.
ठीक है? And we were like, हाँ ठीक है, not a problem. And house call, what I expect कि doggy को उल्टी हो गई. Like that is
Correct, yeah.
That is what I think vets do at this point. Okay.
Taking care of cute animals.
And also for context, my friend is very tiny. Like she's a tiny human being, and she's been this way since we were little. So we go to that place, and turns out it's an ox. That has been like an ox or a bull. Like at this point, my memory is so jaded because of what happened next, right?
So what's an average weight of an ox? How much an ox weigh? I think it's almost like 5.
It must be very heavy.
200-300 kilos at least. At least a couple of 100 kilos, right? How Madhu? A bull.
Ox or a bull, like
would be at least.
Must be very heavy though. Like there is no doubt that it's a heavy animal, right? And then like it was in a condition where it was constantly attacking whoever was coming close to it.
Oh,
so it was sitting under a tree, and the owner of that bull or ox or whatever said कि हाँ वो देखो वहाँ पे है, and he's like being very malicious and aggressive right now, but he needs to take whatever it is that he has to take. Like you only gave me this medication, ऐसे.
Correct.
And she's like, no problem. And she removes an injection from her bag. She just walks up to the ox and jumps on it. And I'm just watching from the distance, like, and the ox obviously starts reacting, like, so he's trying to throw her off. And she's like, I don't know, some next level matador over there, like hanging onto that ox. And like she just like stabs him with the injection.
Wow.
And then obviously he calmed down or whatever.
You saw this?
Yes, I saw this with my own eyes, and I was so stressed.
Dude, if I saw this in a movie, I'd be like, too much.
ऐसे थोड़ी होता है, ऐसे नहीं होता है, ऐसे करके. But
and imagine, bro, you fuck that up, you can get like gored by the bull.
You can die. I don't like, it's like, and you don't know what the bull is going to do or the ox is going to do.
Correct.
So it's very intense. And I was watching this, and she just like, after she was done, she's like, now we can go.
Correct.
Are we going to pretend that did not happen? Okay, I'm okay with that, I guess.
Correct.
But then in the night, I was like...
So, dude, I feel this professional stress, right, and how people deal with it is something very interesting in the sense that how people view the amount of risk they are in.
Yeah.
You know? Because I remember, my dad was in the army, and there was like this big army party on the beach, right? And all these guys are there, and they're looking at fishing boats in the sea, and it's going deep into the sea. And these guys have been like in like hardcore combat and shit and everything. They look at it and be like, shit, man. They are having a discussion among themselves. Like, wow, imagine that every day going out into the sea. It must be like, you have to be, it's so risky, and you have to like...
and the army people are talking about this.
Yeah, and I just like, you guys, you know what you guys do, right?
For a living.
Like if you ask the fisherman, hey man, you want to go? He's like, no bro, I ain't going to the... Yes.
I know the sea.
Yeah, exactly. So just saying, I feel different people have different like
occupational hazards.
Correct. And you look at it and you go like, okay, I live with it. Because to be honest, fishing is intense, like going into the sea.
Yeah, because you like, it's essentially you're like battling nature at this point, like, because that's not in your control.
Correct.
It's like that poor lady whose houses got wrecked by the hurricane. Like the only thing she was in control of was moving, which she didn't.
Wow, that relates to unluckiest people for Mini. Check it out here. So also I feel there is we look at risk in a very intriguing way. Like for example, there's this guy. Okay, he's like a helicopter pilot. Okay, so people are saying, hey man, somebody like that's kind of being like a taxi driver, like a very well paid taxi driver. And then that guy is like, yeah, only thing is that we have way more risk, like a taxi driver come back, but you know, I could die. The helicopter is risky. I was thinking about that statement and I went like, it's kind of not true though.
Yeah, because
taxi driver has enough, like if you think about traffic and the way shit is in India, that's pretty risky too.
It's very risky. Like
I never think about I never think about like the Uber guy, right?
Yeah.
Like, how risky is that job? I don't know.
It probably is. I mean, how do you know you're not picking up a murderer?
Shit. You know what? I didn't think of the human angle only.
That's
Dude, that's true though.
sometimes I think, you know how we talk about how I hope you're safe, I hope the Uber driver is okay and stuff like that.
Yeah, but what about the passenger? Dude, but that's
like
true.
he doesn't
We
have
did
any
a-
option. He
Dude,
has to pick him up.
We did a podcast with Akanksha, right? About this guy who murdered the taxi driver and took his car. Like 100 people do
See,
it.
anything can happen. You could be the unlucky taxi driver picking up the murderer. I don't know.
If you want to know that podcast, that's it. Wow, we are referencing.
This is a plug podcast,
Plug
everyone.
podcast.
This is just a podcast where we plug other podcasts, which makes our lives easier.
Shit. So, according to you, is the most stressful job?
Actually, this could be on many levels.
Correct.
Because like I'll just talk about stuff around me, okay? So my sister is like a cyber lawyer.
Cyber lawyer?
Yeah.
A cyber crime lawyer?
Cyber crime lawyer, you could say, and she helps out with like she is a good consultant for cyber stuff.
Dude, that whole statement, when I see cyber lawyer, I just feel like they should be wearing like those.
Yeah, it's the hacker man.
Hacker man goggles. Cyber lawyer. Like these are like normal as boring lawyers, and these are cyber lawyers.
So I'll just tell you what is an occupational hazard for her, which I just don't think about at all. Is like, so they run this thing called the Cyberblog India, and they help out a lot of people. Like a lot of people reach out to Cyberblog India saying, "Oh, my boyfriend leaked my pics," and like these kind of like really private things. And these guys help them out, like how to get them off the internet, then how to file a complaint with the police, things like that.
Correct.
So she regularly goes through an insane amount of child sexual abuse material. Regularly, and I cannot. So she doesn't look at it this way because she's not thinking about it. But I can't stop thinking about. I don't know how traumatic it must be for her.
Correct.
And this is just an occupational hazard. Like someone has to do it.
Yeah. Wow. That's very insane.
And it's just something that no one thinks about.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, wow. I guess those are pretty high stress jobs. Like,
It's a different kind of stress, but it is stressful anyway.
I think I know how to put it. Basically, there's some jobs that have a lot of stress in the moment, but otherwise are chill. Like our jobs. Like we have very chill lives.
But when our shoots and production is going on, it's very stressful. It's just because we have to get a job done, which is essentially everybody's occupation, right?
Correct. But whereas in this, I feel apart from stress, I think there's like a mental health cost.
Yeah.
Like it's basically your currency is your mental health.
Right.
Like, and you give up on your, like you can go like, yeah, I don't know. Seems like
and I feel like she is like unfazed by this. You know the thing we were talking about earlier about the doctors having to become sociopathic. Like I don't know if she's turning into a sociopath like this.
Correct. But I guess it's like the same Rick and Morty. Don't think about it.
Yeah, and she literally just does it like a robot at this point. You know, she goes to the links or whatever, and she removes it from Google search and whatever.
I think for us, I think it's the opposite, right? All we do is think about shit.
Yeah.
So everything goes,
because everything just piles on in our brain.
Yeah, whereas most people don't think about shit. So it makes life easier, I guess.
I guess.
Yeah.
I guess if it's your job, you might not think about it as much.
Like for example, corporate is known for stress and this thing, and it's like because your job is on the line. Basically, I feel that level of stress is just survival stress.
Yeah.
Because I feel the difference between like high intense corporate stress and the stress that say a poor person feels about surviving are essentially the same. Because you're constantly on the edge of like, oh my god, what will happen next? Only thing is corporate person has a lot of money. And lives
like that is not the stress that they have to deal with.
But you're always on the edge of your existence, right? Oh my god, this life could collapse at any point.
Damn.
So that, I guess,
that's true. The corporate stress is more about, am I going to be chucked out of this game?
Yeah, and then I won't be able to have these nice things I've gotten used to.
Yeah.
That's basically
everything sucks.
Everything sucks.
The new podcast. Everything sucks. We are just looking at it differently because we are used to it.
I guess. Hey, so what according to you is super chill life? Like let's go to the other end of the spectrum. What would be the lowest stress way to exist? I think
if you're a paramecium, I guess. I don't know.
Paramecium. You don't even know. By what I was saying is, like, for example, I think one of the low stress jobs I see is like being in a tourist destination, like running like a holiday shack or a place.
Okay.
But there are different kinds. I'm not saying running a restaurant, because restaurant is super high stress. But you just happen to have a nice place next to a beach, and you opened it up and had like a low level shack kind of a thing, how you have in like Goa and some places, not all of them.
Okay.
Would be a low stress job in the sense that you do your thing, you're good at.
How much you have to do is kind of
like that
limited.
Correct. And how the Goa this and the Sussegard attitude ki relax, things will happen in life.
If this is your job and you think your job is very stressful, please let us know in the comments.
Correct.
If one of our 8 subscribers is a
chef at a beach in Goa,
owns a shack, please
that'd be great
comment.
though.
I know.
You're living the good life, man.
Recently only Ramanujan was telling me the story about how a DJ he follows on Instagram has now become a real estate guy.
Oh, wow, that's a jump.
I guess his DJ life was very stressful in Corona times. It makes sense.
No life actually, no job.
Aye, but it's very
But
shocking transformation of what he posts on Instagram.
Wow. But you know what's cool though? I can see whether it makes sense, because as a DJ you meet so many people.
Yeah.
And in real estate you need to know a lot of people. So I guess
Happy
that handshake
between.
meme, happy this thing transfer. Also, I think like living a disconnected life, like if you're living, you're kind of self-sufficient.
Yeah.
Correct. Life also.
Atmanirbhar.
Wow, insane. Maybe that's what he's trying to say. You guys need to stress less. Figure everything on your own.
Grow your own food. Live your own life. Make your own clothes. You don't have to be dependent on anything or anyone. I guess that would reduce your stress. So actually stress is people.
Correct. I think it's also like, I feel every time you lose a sense of control, your stress goes up. Like I feel you feel okay, I don't have any control in this situation, automatically makes you feel
makes sense.
more stress.
Makes sense. Like you did your best, but nothing could happen.
Like for exams, man, why were we so stressed? Like, because I feel exams got so stressful because the outcome was so important,
right?
And the second thing was you didn't know what the questions were, so there's nothing
true.
You could do. I feel that causes like maybe stress to spike.
For sure.
So I feel the more controlled you feel, you're like, okay, I have control over my life. What I want to do will reduce stress.
That's true. The moment your bracket of what you can't control is reduced,
correct,
you will feel less stress.
So I feel stress has an inverse relationship when it comes to that comfort zone thing. So as long as you're in comfort zone, you're comfortable and you're relaxed. So low stress.
Sense.
But if you want to go out of your comfort zone, you're going to be stressed.
Yeah, the moment you try something new, for example,
correct,
you're going to be stressed about.
Correct. So in life, basically in life, if you want to get out of your comfort zone, it's only
stressful.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know what message we are giving out.
Like, stay
don't come out of our comfort zone, kids.
Yeah, it's only heart disease and sadness.
Heart disease and sadness. No, but you know what? Honestly, this thing about physical stress, like it's just something that I realized I used to think about when I was very little. Like being a construction worker must be so difficult. But then afterwards, I've only been thinking about mental stress. I think just because of how my attitude or whatever towards life has changed. About how sometimes physical stress lena padta hai to do what you're doing.
Correct.
But mental stress is something that'll just stay with you. Like say you stop doing the construction job, there's a good chance that you can recover.
Correct.
From what, because bodies are made that way.
Correct.
Right? But for example, funnily enough, this came out because of a meme. Okay. So Ashish had sent me a meme about CID.
Okay.
CID. So the meme was that whatever sketch that the sketch artist had made was so different from looks ridiculous in comparison to the whoever was dead or whatever.
Correct.
But it was the same person.
Okay.
And Abhijit took like a while to be like, this is the same person.
Because the sketch was so bad.
Yeah, the sketch was pretty awful. Looked like Michael Jackson met some woman and created a baby, right? So the sketch was awful. So that was the meme. But then that reminded me of a conversation I had with my mom.
Okay.
Okay. So I was always under the impression ki how do you explain so well how someone looks that a person can sketch them?
Correct.
Because it's difficult. Like I won't be able to tell someone exactly how someone's nose looked.
Correct.
Right? Nowadays what they do is they have like a bank of many noses and they will tell you to pick one of them. Ki which is the closest nose. That's
Do
how
you know the nose?
do you know the nose?
Yeah.
But yeah.
Who knows? Or no one knows.
Yeah, because see, honestly, even in bank, I'm kind of unsure of if I would be able to tell. But okay, that's a very, very broad question. Maybe people can tell. But my mom was a social worker. Okay, so for context for this conversation, so she told me, yeah, once I was actually with this 8-year-old girl who had gotten raped.
Wow.
So she was in the police interrogation thing, and they were asking the girl the details of how that person looked because they wanted to get a sketch, and they were asking her very specific questions.
Correct.
That they drew an eye and they were like, was the eye like this or was the eye like this? So the girl was able to tell them, it was little like this. So the more specific your questions are, that's how sketch artists work.
Correct.
But for me, the takeaway from this conversation was, why were you with a girl who was raped? What is happening here? And why is this like normal conversation?
Correct.
But my mom was a social worker and this was her job. Like she used to be with children who have gone through things.
Wow.
And to make sure that they were
trigger
okay.
warning, man. That came out of nowhere.
And it came out of nowhere for me also. We were discussing fucking meme.
Oh shit, yeah. Now you all joined the club. We were discussing a meme.
Hashtag conversation with Indian parents.
Whoa, that's very intense, man.
But that is something that came with her occupation, and it's not something she thinks twice about.
Wow.
This is normal for
but I
her.
feel, but that's the survival mechanism, right? Don't think about it.
Exactly.
Yeah, because if you think about it, you get fucked. Oh, that's strange, man.
I would never have survived. I would have been like, this is
That's
not
why,
my job.
Yeah, because that's why we are in creative stuff. Because we want to be like, you know what, the world is too dark.
We're too empathetic. It's just can't deal with
Problematic. Empathy.
It's happening to you. I am burning in hell. Like, it's like that. It's awful.
Shit. So that's what I'm saying, man. So I feel in like today's day and age, especially because everyone is feeling so like stressed out, I feel this culture of having to deal with stress is something that now I feel hit the mainstream. Earlier people didn't talk about stress as much, because it wasn't like, it was almost considered a whiny thing to do.
Yeah, people used to sit down, other people used to talk about how stressed they are.
They're like, oh, what about, there's like lot, but right now.
What about the children in Africa who are stressed? Why?
Wow. Anyway, so I'm saying so many people, but now everyone feels stressed, right? Also, I was talking to this guy and he actually gave me, because what happens is sometimes you're feeling stressed or sad and you're like, bro, I have everything, yet I feel
this way.
And I think there's some good advice in terms of like, first of all, how to not feel guilty about what you're feeling to begin with. And what he said was, see, it doesn't matter who is feeling the emotion. Like material things don't change what you feel in your head.
Got it.
So whether you have a lot and have very less, if inside you're fucked, you are fucked. Like it is the same amount of distress anybody would feel.
Got it.
So your distress cannot be equated with material things. And then I said, hey man, that's a really good insight. Because being able to lead a good life and a peaceful life is actually very detached from material this thing, because the only real life you live is in your head.
Yeah.
Like you could have everything in the world, but inside if you're sad and stressed, then does having everything mean anything?
Correct.
And on the other hand, if you have very few things, but inside you're like, whoa, I made it, life is awesome, and you're living a good life, you quantifiably have a better life because you are feeling nicer feelings in your head, right? Because that's why we do things. We do stuff so that the brain releases dopamine and you feel good. And
science.
So I feel as long as you're chasing that high and you're feeling good about yourself, doesn't matter what you have, right?
That's good insight, actually. That's a very good insight, and it's a good thing to remember.
Correct.
Just be proactively remembering this.
Yeah.
Not saying that's a cure for depression. Please see therapist.
No. Wow. I'm just talking about like stress.
Yes.
Like how one can and handle or be around stress? Because I have no answer. Because I feel most of us go through life and we'll feel like at some point you're gonna feel pressure.
And at some point you will feel कि नहीं यार मेरा life तो इससे अच्छा है.
Correct. Yeah.
Just own up your feelings.
Yeah.
It's okay to have feelings. It's okay to feel.
What do you think in your life was the most stressful thing you've been through?
Multiple things, but I feel like one of the most stressful times in my life was in 11th because I was living with a grandmom who had Alzheimer's.
Correct.
And it was very stressful because everyone was working in the house at the time. So we used to she used to walk out of the house and stuff. And it was like, that was a very stressful time for me. Like and it was not because I was not understanding or what was happening or anything. It was just for her well-being.
Correct.
And dude, the sense of relief I had when she passed away is just because I was like, it's good. Like, I'm glad because it's a ridiculous thing to live through. It's just...
Wow.
That was definitely most stressful because I was very bad at studies and everything at the time. Like, it had affected the rest of my life.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, man.
Intense.
Intense. Definitely intense. Shit. I'm trying to... weirdly enough, I think... So, I've been very stressed throughout my life and I've been through a lot, as happens with age. You go through a lot of shit. But weirdly enough, the most stressed I felt was in like 11th, 12th, man. Like the pressure
of having to choose.
Not just being in being able to give exams, and the whole world at that time was just became ki, if this doesn't happen, you'll fail. You're fucked and failure.
You're good for nothing in your life.
Correct. So basically, it's so strange, but like I've dealt with so much more after that, but I never reached that level of stress that I reached in 12th. Like 12th, it just became like a crazy funnel. And even till date, man, whenever I feel stressed in life, I look back and I'm like, I don't know, why was
I so stressed at that time? I think it's also like an accumulation of, वो हमारा education system तो भद्दू है, वो तो मालूम ही है हमको. Like, it's a sad thing. We are not going to repeat that ever again.
Correct.
But it's just like...
It does podcast later on education system.
So like, it's just that it's an accumulation of already you're kind of angsty because you're going through adolescence.
Correct.
So all this is already happening at the wrong time in your life. Like, it's already your body is being pumped with hormones that you don't know how to deal with.
It's just like, here, take emotions.
right? And like, you just don't know how to deal with them already. Correct. It's worse for boys, honestly. Correct. Like, it's way worse for boys when it comes to adolescence and like puberty and everything.
Correct.
But at the same time, I feel like that stuff happening in 2 years. Like, actually 1 year, 12th. You have to make so many decisions in your life.
Correct.
You're barely 18 years old.
Correct.
You don't know any better. I don't think I know any better now.
Correct, yeah. But I think that's what you don't know at 18, no? At 18, you're like, oh my God, I need to figure this out. Now we're like, we're never going to figure it out.
Yeah, now we've just moved into that
space. It's life, we live it as it is,
Acceptance has happened.
Correct. I feel even for like so many people in my friend circle, this thing becoming parents, and then I'm looking at them going, So what I realize is that nobody, even my parents, didn't know what they were doing. And nobody's parents really know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And that's just life. And it's not a bad thing. Like, you can...
your parents want you to be the best version of them. The best version of them, according to them, is that you know everything that you want to do in your life. Because clearly nobody does know everything they want to do in their life. So they are like, maybe my child will be better than this.
Me. Yeah. You know what? Now I get the parent stress. They're like... मुझे समझ में नहीं आया तू समझेगा.
Like, and it's coming from a place of pure concern. It's not like a place of like whatever.
I don't. To be honest, I literally think the reason all the taras happens is because nobody really thinks about it. But the point is, if you think about it, you go crazy. So the world is,
everyone's maybe if I don't think about it, it's okay.
So I think
fine.
I think
ignorance is bliss.
So I think that's I understood how not to stress. Don't think about it. That's the only way you can make it through life.
Doctor attested.
Don't think about it. Hey, kya ho raha hai? Don't think about it, man. Okay, cool. Don't think about it. It's literally that. कुछ भी होता है phone निकालो ना फिर ऐसा Instagram.
हाँ.
Stress
Then you will find someone to shit on, something to laugh about.
Yeah, exactly. So that's it. That's it. Where we are ending the story.
Animator's coping mechanism. I don't know if this is.
Basically, this is how to deal with stress. Don't think about it. That's the podcast. That's what we just did. So hey guys, if you liked this podcast about stress and you didn't get stressed and you thought you had fun, let us know what was the most stressful moment in your life and how you dealt with it, and that'll be interesting to know. And what do you think about,
and if you have some horrible 11, 12 stories to share with us,
or how to deal with stress, maybe you have the answer.
Maybe you are a therapist,
you have the therapeutic answers. Please let us know. And of course we have a new podcast out every Friday and new content through the week, which is fun as well. So don't forget to like, share and subscribe.
And hit the notification bell icon. Notification. Yes. Actually, this is where we cut.
Notificate.
Can't deal with this.
Pause stress. Don't think about it.